Welcome everyone to the Hurting Humanity channel. One thing I tell people to pay attention to whenever a story is out there is why is that story out there? Because nothing makes the news without them wanting it to make the news. And when the fires started in California, I talked about how Newsweek was covering all of these people in California losing their homeowners insurance. And now, obviously, over the last week or so, all the mainstream media outlets are talking about a quote unquote insurance crisis, which means that they want you to know that these insurance companies dropped these people from having homeowners insurance before the fires came. Now, you would think that that would trigger something in their head that would make them think that the insurance companies knew ahead of time about the fire. And yet, maybe a small percentage, maybe 5% of people are thinking that way, that the insurance companies got told, hey, we're going to burn this area, we're going to burn here, we're going to put hurricanes over there. So you better make sure you remove homeowners insurance before we use our weaponized weather on these locations. But no, the majority of people are angry just about the fact that the insurance companies remove coverage for people in certain areas. They're not angry about the fact or thinking the way they should be thinking about the insurance companies knowing that the fires were coming in the first place because these were all planned out in advance. They want the insurance narrative out there. Now the question is why? Well, I'll explain it to you. And it all obviously starts with that whole notion of you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Because remember, in a World Economic Forum world, which is a New World Order reality, you won't own anything. In a global communist order, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, which means, of course, that you will not need homeowners insurance because you won't own a home. But we're a little ways away from people owning nothing and being happy. Obviously, there's a lot of things that have to occur. This is a start, obviously, when you burn people's homes to the ground and then don't insure their homes and they have nothing left. And then you put them in government FEMA camps and tell them that that's their new home, which they'll never own, which of course is government property. And then on that land, you have to obey FEMA laws. That's what it all leads towards. But it's still going to take a little bit of time to make sure people don't own anything. And that's obviously going to come into effect with weather modification, people not getting insurance claims taken care of. And of course, what we'll see with the economy continue, with inflation, with prices going all over the place, and people no longer being able to afford their homes, and of course being replaced by computers, and artificial intelligence won't help anyone either. So in the meantime, what they're attempting to do is to get you to change your homes so that you will be picked up by homeowners insurance, which means going green. And I'll get into that in a second, but you may be feeling, if you're paying attention, there's a universal theme to insurance companies being bad. And of course, insurance companies are bad. I'm not on board with big insurance companies being able to screw people out of money, and forcing us to have health insurance and homeowners insurance. And, there's insurance for pretty much every breath you take and every single thing that they can think of. They want you to pay insurance on. But as we move towards a new world order infrastructure, remember, the infrastructure has to be taken down. And that infrastructure will eventually include insurance companies existing. Now, the health insurance is another thing we've been hearing about, right? Luigi Mangione, the entire operation, the entire government operation, which I really believe is a psyop. I don't believe anyone was killed in the first place. Remember how conveniently, right after the shooting occurred, they showed you all this surveillance footage, which they would never show you and never do show you anytime a real event occurs. The government holds on to that footage and makes sure that you don't actually see it. Oh, they released it within minutes, showing you that he was lying in wait. Of course, showing you how staged it looked out in the streets. And what was done since then? Well, he was made into a hero, right? The media, Bill Burr, unloads on insurance companies, praises Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione isn't the first accused killer America has loved, and he won't be the last. Luigi Mangione is a hit on Red Note. right? Our love and fascination with Luigi Mangione. Well, of course, there's a love and fascination with him because the media, using psychological operations, has convinced people out there that he's a hero. They haven't convinced him that he's a murderer that murdered a man in the streets. Well, of course, because he likely didn't murder anyone, but they've convinced him he's a hero. And what was his motive behind everything? The structure of the health insurance scam, right? Health insurance in general needs to be changed. And of course, when that occurred, I talked about that's what the plan is. They're getting people irate about health coverage, health insurance coverage, what they're covering, what they're not. And it's all done by design so they can bring in artificial intelligence healthcare, which will be, of course, healthcare inside of your body, using tech inside of your body to monitor your health. You've been trained with this, with things like the Fitbit and other technologies that people wear in their bodies that track and monitor their heart rate, their breathing, how they sleep at night. This is all moving us towards this tech being embedded in us, much like a pacemaker, just a lot more dangerous, a lot worse, but they'll tell you it's a lot better for you and a lot safer because they want it in your body so bad. So all these insurance agencies and companies have to fall, and it's done by design. These insurance companies, of course, people are supposed to think that, oh, it's just an insurance company. It's an insurance company. They're all independent. State Farm and, whoever else is out there, United Healthcare. These are all government run and they all work directly with the government. And this is all part of their plan, which means, of course, that they're all on board with the plan. So you hear all these stories about health insurance denial and homeowners getting denied coverage by design. You even hear these celebrities now out on television talking about how they lost everything because they were dropped too from the insurance companies before the fires occurred. And now we have the mainstream media talking about the insurance crisis, okay? And when they talk about the insurance crisis, they're doing it by design. The news isn't there to inform you. They want you to know for a reason because they want you to ask for the solution. So they're talking about this homeowners insurance thing going on because they want you to be pissed off. They want you to be angry. And then they want to come in with the solution, which is coming. So let's look at what's airing across the mainstream media nationally in regards to an insurance crisis and how unfair it is.
These wildfires could be one of the most expensive natural disasters in U.S. history. The state facing an insurance crisis that has already left thousands of Californians struggling to find and keep affordable homeowners insurance. ABC's Christian Cordero in Pacific Palisades.
Tonight, many homeowners affected by the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles taking their first step toward rebuilding their lives, filing an insurance claim.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
But as too many Americans know, getting compensated can be difficult. And in California, the system is facing a crisis years in the making. Insurance premiums soared after the Camp Fire in Northern California's Butte County in 2018. At the time, the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in the state's history. Several major carriers have since restricted fire coverage or stopped writing new property insurance policies in California entirely. State Farm, California's largest provider of homeowners insurance, announcing in 2023 it would stop accepting new applications from California residents, citing, among other things, rapidly growing catastrophe exposure. With insurers pulling back, thousands of California homeowners have been left without coverage.
These insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
The California Insurance Commissioner issuing a one-year moratorium to protect homeowners.
I'm also calling on insurance companies to suspend any pending non-renewals and cancellations that homeowners received before these fires started.
This problem isn't unique to California. An investigation by the Senate Budget Committee finding that climate change-driven extreme weather events are leading to increasing non-renewal rates and spiking premiums across the country, particularly in Florida, Louisiana, and North Carolina. The report suggesting the insurance crisis could lead to a housing one with echoes of 2008. Saying this is predicted to cascade into plunging property values in communities where insurance becomes impossible to find or prohibitively expensive. Climate change is no longer just an environmental problem, it's a looming economic threat.
Whit, a spokesperson for California's FAIR Plan, the state's private stopgap fire insurance program, says they are aware of misinformation spreading online about their ability to pay claims. But they want to reassure homeowners that they have prepared for disasters like this and intend to keep their commitments.
And again, it's obviously not fair. It's obviously the whole entire system is wrong. But the problem is that the resolution to the problem is going to be what they want all along, what the insurance companies want, what the government wants, which is universal everything, just like universal basic income. It's your freedoms that are removed, and you're going to think that these things are beneficial to you, so they're going to convince you of it so you don't become suspicious of it. Because remember, insurance companies only exist in a capitalist society for the most part. It's a very pro-capitalist thing, insurance companies. It's very anti-capitalism to not have insurance companies because it means that everything is universal and run by the state. So what am I getting at here? Well, what I'm getting at is before we own nothing and we're happy, which is supposed to be by 2030, which I guess I could see happening if they continue to wipe us off the face of the earth using weaponized weather and everything else that they're using on all of us and bioweapons, etc. But the plan for now, of course, is that they're telling you that insurance companies are more likely to offer you favorable coverage based on your carbon footprint. And that's what it's about. The World Economic Forum has been putting things out. Insurance, not enough to offset financial risks of climate change, according to analysts. And of course, what does that mean? Well, it means upgrading to smart features. Don't you know, right? You see, the insurance companies are denying people coverage, and they're going to start telling you that they're going to deny you coverage unless you switch over to green, unless you switch over to smart tech, so that they can track the data of what you're doing in your home, and they can decide whether or not you're a risk because of the stuff going on with the weather. Does it sound insane? Oh yeah, it does, because it is insane. But what's even more insane is that our government is murdering us using weather modification. So here's a little tidbit from the article. Numerous smart home features exist that add value and functionality to homes. These can reduce energy costs as well. Smart thermostats are a common example. They automate the heating and cooling of the home, reducing energy use by learning over time when and how much climate control you need. Another increasingly popular feature is smart lighting with programmable LED lights that can change color, let your insurance agent know what type of investment you've made. The more expensive the smart home features are, the more important it is to ensure your policy will cover damage to them during a covered incident. Do this for all smart home features, even non-energy related items like home security systems, smoke and fire alarms, water damage detection, sensors, and doorbell cameras. So in other words, you start turning your home into a smart home, the insurance companies will make sure they cover you. Now, they're not going to tell you that they'll have obviously turned your home into a prison for you by giving over the power and the remote to all of these things, such as your camera on your doorbell, which is just an insane notion that we're living in a world where this is now normal and accepted, that people are so desensitized that it's no big deal anymore to see a camera on someone's doorbell. Them talking about this is openly their way of saying, look, you didn't do enough over time to turn your home into a prison. So we're going to make you do it. And this is how. The next time we call you about your homeowner's insurance, it's going to be a phone call like this. Look, we're going to drop you from coverage. You hear all those stories about fires in LA? Hear those stories about hurricanes in Florida? Yeah, the Carolinas? Well, we're not going to cover you anymore because you're a liability. You might say, well, wait a minute. What can I do to not be a threat to the insurance company anymore? I mean, I can't lose my homeowner's insurance because if something happens to my home, I lose everything. I bought the house for $150,000, $200,000. And if something wipes it out, I need to be able to get it back or get my money back. I want insurance. Well, here's what we'll do. You start upgrading your home into a smart home where it's more green dependent, where you're helping the climate, and we'll make sure we insure you. And the people won't be suspicious of it. They'll say, well, what do I have to do? They'll say, well, you get a smart thermostat. It's $50. Go to Best Buy and go pick one up. All right. What else could I do? Well, you got one of those rings on your home? I do. Great. You're doing your part already. What else can I do? Well, do you have a smart meter? I don't. Well, go and get one of those smart meters and slap it on the side of your home too. Okay. What else could I do? everything smart. The more smart your home is, the lower your insurance policy price monthly will be. Really? Yeah, and we won't drop you from coverage. Those are the stories that are quietly out there. Even the World Economic Forum talking about how the insurance companies, the policy holders must do their part in their risk consulting relationships and engage in mitigation and preparation with their insurance partner. Insurers can also broaden their value through risk education. And what's the risk education? The whole education is that you need to reduce your carbon footprint. You're a threat to society based on your carbon footprint, and you're also a danger to the insurance company. So they won't back your home in the event that it gets lit on fire by a government match, unless, of course, you decide to transfer everything over to green energy, which means as well, time to get those solar panels on your roof. And then when we start blocking the sun, don't become suspicious as to why your electricity doesn't work all the time, right? Make sure you have those smart meters on your water well and your gas well, or your gas pump, your gas tank as well. That's what we're headed towards here. This is behavioral control. This is them conditioning you to want the removal of insurance in general, which eventually it will be. Eventually, when this is under communist dictatorship, there won't be insurance, and you'll be cheering for it until you realize that you have universal basic income and universal health care, and all of a sudden, things aren't the same that they used to be. And when you were complaining about having to pay for health insurance, well, now, I mean, couldn't be worse because you're making $5 a week, and so is the guy next to you, and so is everybody else. And you pretty much lead a pathetic, helpless life that depends on the government to be fed. And you have to obviously feed yourself and have water, even though it's going to be all real food. It's going to be created in a petri dish. But when the government decides to feed you, it's all going to be based on your behavior. Are you behaving properly? And that means, are you questioning the government, or are you pretending to smile while they kick you in the nuts? And that's what it's really about. And they showed a clip in that ABC News report, which is important to keep an eye on, where they're showing the non-renewal rate, that's back from 2023, of insurance companies where they're dropping coverage of people. Well, it might as well just be a map showing us places that will be targeted with weather modification. Now, we can only go off the accuracy of it. We can't take it too legitimately, right? Because anything they tell us, they don't have to tell you. They don't have to tell you that people have been dropped from the insurance companies. Even if these people were online screaming in the Palisades that they had their fire insurance drop, it wouldn't make national news unless they wanted it to. Take a look at what's happening in the Carolinas. Take a look at how many people have been screaming about this, screaming about that. It never made national news. You can only find people who are uploading it to their social media accounts. And then, of course, social media platforms are removing it. But they're certainly not boosting it so that you could see what's really happening in a lot of these places, right? So they want the narrative out there. Any narrative that's out there, they want out there. I made that very clear with the stuff. A perfect example is the stuff with Diddy, is the stuff with Jeffrey and his island. They tell you this stuff. You wouldn't even know that Jeffrey existed in the first place. They feed you the stories and then pull you into their rabbit holes. This is the same exact thing. They're feeding you this. They want you angry at the insurance companies. They created the PSYOP around the United Healthcare guy to make people say, we need to change the infrastructure. We need to change the system because they're already prepared for it, because AI governance is the infrastructure change. And healthcare, as you know, it changes. Homeowners insurance, those types of things change as we know it, because eventually, like I said, you'll own nothing and be happy. But for the time being, of course, you better switch your home over to a more green, energy efficient home and help out the environment if you want the homeowner's insurance to cover your home, which means get that smart meter on, get those smart appliances in, and make sure you turn your home into a prison for Big Brother. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.